I'm Bill,
Hello and welcome to the
and
105th
lots to talk
episode
about
of Sutton
today. First
Impact
thing I want to talk
Fantasy.
about, though,
Jason.
is my last lecture is tomorrow at 9:30, and it'll be available live streaming on Twitter and live streaming on Facebook, and it'll be available then later on in the day on those two platforms. So I'm excited to do it, and it should be a lot of fun. We all know what WWJD means,
teaser,
right?
what it's about, or is it just going to...
What would Jesus do? This is WWID.
I do, I think.
I do.
Yes.
And that's the teaser.
What would I do? Okay. Very
all
nice. And
wrapped
that's
in one.
a sports business moment and sports business advice, all that
let's
stuff.
Let's talk
in one,
NFL draft because that seems to be the predominant topic of the week. And I've seen enough mock drafts. I'm tired of it. So I think it's going to be an interesting draft based upon what the New York Giants do.
Yes. Well, you have the Giants with 2 first-round picks. You have John Gruden and the Raiders with Mike Mayock as their GM, who have 3 first-round picks. And, unfortunately for the rest of us, the defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots have 12 picks, including 6 in the first 100 picks. And the Patriots don't have that many spots on their roster to draft all those players. So they normally a team that likes to move down with an aging Brady and an arsenal of picks.
That they might package
might
some
they
of
be
those
the
picks
team
and
that's
move
moving
up
up
and
and
take
down?
a quarterback, take the replacement, take a potential replacement for Brady, given that he's already going to play till he's 50, if not 60.
I mean, they're saying that Hutchinson's, the tight end of Iowa, is the next great tight end and sort of the Gronk. He can block and he's a passing threat. He's not a either or guy like most tight ends in the NFL are. And if you got 12 picks, 6 in the top 100, and you're the Patriots who seemingly don't need anybody, and no matter who they have on their team, they seem to win the Super Bowl. Like,
considering how much
they
use the tight end,
did Brady another weapon
and how they use the tight end, I could see them making a move for that play. Yes.
Because they do that thing that, that Gronk always afforded them the effort to do, is that Gronk, you could line him up wide, you could line him in close. So you didn't know if he didn't give away run or pass. Like some tight ends come in the game, and odds are they're throwing the ball. Other tight ends, odds are they're running the ball. They don't have the versatility. And Hutchinson seems to be one of these guys that people view as
looks like a
dual threat tight end who you can use all over the field.
I think Gronk, I don't think he's a Gronk. Gronk is just too unique.
Yeah. No, Gronk is incredibly unique. And I think, unfortunately for the NFL, but fortunately for Patriot fans,
can see him coming back in
I don't
December.
think he's real retired. I do. I think he's a meathead from New Jersey, so he's going to stay in shape, gym tan laundry no matter what. And I think if he can avoid, the first couple weeks of the season, see if he feels good, see how the Patriots are doing, see how much they need him. He gets to come in for a hero.
Jersey Shore
I can see it happening.
And if he finds enough people to play with and party with, who knows what shape he'll be in.
That's but true. Jersey Shore is gym tan laundry. You got to gym first every day. You got to get the six pack
think
going.
I think the Giants are in play for Josh Rosen. I really do.
Well, I think, and a lot of people seem to think the Kyler Murray speculation, they still want him one. They're just trying to,
One theory is, but then now they're saying they're not going to draft him to see what kind of interest there is in what people give them for the pick. The other speculation is that to see what they'll give him for Rosen. So it's interesting. I think some people will think it's a smokescreen and they won't believe that that's what's going to happen. So.
Right. But the one buzz around the draft quarterback wise, it seems to maybe be gaining a little bit of steam is that Haskins is slipping. And the reason for that is that they've been going back and looking at tape. and they've been looking at all the 40 times and all these incredible, Ohio State players with him. And they're seeing a lot of short to intermediate dump offs where those guys are running down. And they're like, he's not an athlete. He's not going to scare you with his feet. He doesn't throw deep well. And, how much of it was, this Urban Meyer system with, Paris Campbell and these 4.2 guy 40s, taking the ball and running all over the field, and how much was Haskins? Add to the fact that he's a kind of a 1-year player. And maybe, now the Giants, maybe that's one of the reasons the Giants don't like him at 6. I think if you're the Giants, just for your fans' sake, no matter what the fans think of Eli, you've got to come out of this first round with a quarterback, right? Or if you could, a deal where
here's my thought.
Maybe you get Rosen with your first pick in the second round.
You better plan to go 0-16 and try and get the guy from Clemson to come out next year.
Yeah.
Tank for Tua, but I think I might rather have the guy from Clemson.
Tank for Tua.
He was true freshman.
But I think he's got another year after this year, because wasn't he a true freshman last year? So you only got Tua and Fromm and a couple other guys this next year. But that's a speculation that the Dolphins want to. The Dolphins are like, let everybody else get their quarterbacks. We'll get one in the next year. Yeah, which I said could bite them in the ass, because as bad as he can play at times, he's got 3 or 4 crazy games in him where he's going to put up ridiculous stats. Although if you have the Patriots in that division, an improving Jets team, and an improving Bills team. So maybe it'll be easy to bottom out for the Dolphins, and no matter what you do, you're pretty much screwed.
I think you're looking at 8-8 as the best scenario. Let's see. They're not.
And I think in that division, that's pretty much impossible.
It's such an interesting week. I mean, who do you think?
Who's your favorite player in this draft?
Of all the players you've seen all year, and I mean like frontline players like Will Grier and other people, who do you think is going to be the biggest slider, and who do you think is going to be the biggest riser on draft day?
I don't know what counts as the biggest riser, but I think Devin Bush, the linebacker at Michigan, is going to go maybe top 10. And I think we might have a few inside linebackers go in the top 10, which I think would be pretty incredible, considering,
Not out of the first
I think Fowler. I think Haskins, I think he might fall really far. I don't think out of the first. No, because I think somebody would swing back in at the end of the first round and scoop him up. But I think, what I've been reading is as much as I say I hate mock drafts like you do in the beginning, I read them all and I watch all this NFL content. And people love the kid out of Mizzou because he's got all the physical tools, and I think, he just needs coaching.
Yeah.
And apparently the kid out of Duke, Daniel Jones, I guess he's like the coach's dream. Like, he's great on the chalkboard. He's a very coachable, likable kid. He's got all the physical tools you want, but, he didn't have the production. So, but, there's like teams that, there's coaches that be like, this is my guy. He's going to listen to me. He'll do everything I say, And I think so. And then you got Will Grier, who's jumping up backwards, too.
He had no mobility, but he can throw
West
the
Virginia.
ball.
Yeah. Right. And then you got a couple of other guys here and there that, depending on who's, like I said, I'm exactly what the NFL wants. I'm obsessed with all this stuff. I'm watching everybody's, I'm watching Phil Simms' kid give his mock draft, like listening to everything. And, there's some people that have Haskins as like the 7th best quarterback in this draft after being maybe the first quarterback.
And that's why it's so popular. And that's why it went from being a Saturday, Sunday to a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Well, you're going to have to be my lifeline,
and I can't
because I'm going to be in LA. And on Thursday night, I've got a dinner. And on Friday night, I'm going to the Pirate game. And I'm going to be on a plane all day Saturday. So I'm not going to get to see hardly any of the picks. So you're going to have to be my lifeline.
Well,
We have,
as I guess you just made a perfect transition
and
to
as
a
of
baseball
yesterday, the
story we
best
have to
record
talk
in the
about.
National League,
The first place Pittsburgh Pirates.
playing with a very, very low payroll.
And they're doing pitching and some hitting.
Now, their starting outfield was supposed to be
Low
Dickerson,
payroll,
Marte,
very young
and
team.
Polanco. And Dickerson's been hurt all year. Polanco came back tonight, and Polanco's actually 2 for 2. Polanco came back tonight, and Marte's on the DL. So and they're playing his rookies, and the rookies look good. I'm real excited about the rookie shortstop, Cole Tucker, who was the number one pick a few years ago. Their pitching's really solid. Not a lot of offense, but we'll see where they go. But they are fun and enjoyable to watch, kind of like the Rays.
Which is all I think you really want. And then we should also mention the Rays, who are also in also in first place in their division with the Yankees, Red Sox, Orioles, and Blue Jays. Exactly. But the team with the best record in baseball is,
who knew?
Somehow the Seattle Mariners.
Not us, because we don't stay up till 10:30 at night to watch baseball games.
Who knew?
Well, I went to my first
and to be
game.
Fair, we are
20
games into
two games of the year last week. I saw the Yankees play at home against the White Sox and win, and then people get hurt. And the Yankees, I can't even recognize the lineup. And then Tuesday night, I saw the Cubs play the Marlins in Miami. And there could have been 6,000 people there. And if they weren't playing the Cubs, they'd have been hard-pressed to have 1,000. But I really like what they've done to the ballpark. I really like the atmosphere, the food. I liked everything about it. It's a good experience. Unfortunately, it's so weird watching the people cheer for the visiting team in a stadium, because you're freaked out because it's not the home. The home team isn't batting and everybody's cheering, and it's just weird. But yeah, I'm excited about Pirates, and I'm going to go see my first Pirate games the first week of June. Or actually, I'm going to go Friday night in Los Angeles to see the Pirates and the Dodgers. That'll be my first Pirate game. So let's talk a little NBA playoffs.
Very nice.
Well, first, let's talk NHL playoffs, because I have to say, I have no interest in the NHL right now. I lost the Lightning and the Penguins, and I don't care about anybody else. So now I got nothing. And I saw that the number one seed in the West also went out, just like the Lightning did.
Well, we have family in Toronto now, and that it'd be nice to see the Leafs get a cup. Leafs hanging strong. That'd be something. I mean, if you're looking, as far as our
playoff hockey is outstanding, but
playoff hockey's still been really exciting now. Playoff hockey's outstanding.
So my hockey is the ESPN.
No, but hockey, and people said the same thing about baseball. That I know we just talked about a lot of different teams, but your average baseball fan knows all about their team and maybe their division. But it's not like the NFL where you know everything now. And hockey it's a little bit more the same niche where it's like your guys and your people, and then everything else sort of falls by the wayside.
Yeah.
But on the NBA playoffs, I guess first we can talk about the disappointment for us personally.
As I've seen
Russ in Oklahoma City.
Russ kept penetrating and getting open shots, and he couldn't. I don't think he scored in the second half. I think he had a point. I think he had a free throw, and he had 13 points in the first half. And I mean, usually you judge Russ by he's not passing and not getting the ball to other people. And here he was open all night long, and he couldn't hit a shot. And Paul George is definitely not the Paul George as he was before he got hurt his shoulder. And
no, those first 50 games of the year, he was a legitimate MVP candidate. And now he's a shell of himself again. And I guess before we move on to other series, if you're Sam Presti in Oklahoma City, you're bringing back next year, you're bringing back Russ and Paul George. And Russ, he's 30 now. He's been in the league for 12 years, 31. whatever he's doing in the playoffs just isn't working. He's 4-14 in his last playoff games.
No,
that's a staggering stat. I know it's not just Russ, but
that is a scary.
In the last 18 games he's played in, 4-14. It's a scary stat. Paul George does not have a history of being a big-time player. Steven Adams, as much as you love him as a person, has not really showed up in this series, and he's owed $25 million next year, and I think $27 the year after. Dennis Schroeder is on the books for almost $20 million, and Jeremy Grant for $10 million, and I don't think they have their pick this year. So
I don't have any idea.
What do you do if you're Oklahoma City and Sam Presti? The speculation is that assuming you're not going to move Russ or Paul, and I don't know if you could even move Russ from Oklahoma City. Maybe you could fleece the Lakers into taking him, get out of him under the cap, and build around Paul George and the young Laker core, and leave LeBron and Russ to run around in LA together, which I don't know if that would even work. But they think Steven Adams is the piece you move, and what can you really get for Steven Adams?
Yeah,
but I guess the big question is obviously, can you win with Russ?
A lot of Duke in this playoff series because they just didn't have the outside shooting they needed to be competitive. And I'm really, really, really impressed with Portland. So as disappointed I am with Oklahoma City, maybe I should just be more impressed with Portland than I've been, but because they're playing really, really well. I could see a Portland Golden State matchup.
Yeah. Or if he gets all the calls he always gets, and Houston is playing really well right now. I thought Utah would have a shot to win a game or two, and they're just getting destroyed.
And I know we were Celtics doubters all year, and they're the first team in the playoffs.
And I don't know if he can do it. They are, but that's a pretty hobbled, young, not great Indiana team.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they swept them, they just did kind of struggle, And I don't know if, they're going to get Milwaukee in the next round, assuming Milwaukee doesn't blow 4 straight to Detroit, even though they're down by 10 points right now. And I think a healthy Milwaukee team is just going to be is going to be tough for that Celtics team. Although it does look like one good. Gordon Hayward is finally starting to look like one Gordon Hayward again.
You made the point about Marcus Smart not being able to play, and that meant other people were going to get to play and have more minutes. Maybe that's a valid point because they seem to be playing very well together as a team. While they might miss that energy coming in off the bench, maybe they're just a steadier, more consistent team right now.
Well, I think, smarter people than me, have always made the point that everybody needs to have a defined role on a team. And when you lost Hayward and Irving last year, you had all these young guys get to step up and have their role. And then they came into this year and all of a sudden people were, instead of getting 30 minutes, you're getting less, nobody's getting the amount of time they want or time they deserve. And you're a young guy and you want to prove that you've got all these, you can do all this great stuff. And then you had some obviously chemistry issues, but I think, a couple injuries and then they've kind of almost benched Terry Rozier, Scary Terry. And it's given them a nice tight 8-man playoff rotation. And I think, Stevens is doing a good job with it.
I think they look better than they looked all year. No question.
And then on the other side of the East. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. But the winner I still think Milwaukee beats them.
Well, Milwaukee.
But the other series is really intriguing.
Milwaukee's the favorite team to win it all, right?
And it looks like we're going to get Philly. The favorites come out of the East. I think they're third in the rankings behind Houston. Houston has their odds have gone up, and Golden State. They think it's another West, best in the West.
And I like the way Toronto's been. I'm watching Toronto play. I like the way Toronto's playing too. I don't like the way Philly's playing either.
And I don't really like the way Philly's playing. I think Brooklyn kind of blew a couple of those games that, they were as a young Brooklyn team. I think if they had a little more, I think next year they win.
Philly advances through the next round.
but they weren't able to pull it out this year.
And who would first play Toronto?
No.
Yeah, they were going to.
Well, they have to go play in Toronto. Yeah,
1-2 anyhow, right?
Which is exciting. And you can't go out Boston because Kyrie Irving is incredible, but he's also
But now he's playing
an enigma and a pain in the ass and a million of other things.
I don't know if he's shopping himself or what he's doing. Looking for a deal, looking for a trade. I don't know. He's playing well, though. And he does want to win. He's competitive.
He seems to be the
and maybe it's okay.
Always upset.
Maybe it's
never happy. Yeah. You have to is the one issue I think the NBA could have moving forward, and I don't even know how you would deal with this from a business standpoint. And I'll knock on Russ again. The next question. And not that they're answering, not that they're being asked incredible questions by any stretch. But when you have, your Kyries and your Kevin Durant's whining and crying that people are asking about their free agency and getting all testy when people ask them questions, and Russ just flat out ignoring reporters. And so, in this player empowerment era where they've kind of taken it to, complaining about fans booing them in the stands, that's not a great look for the league, I don't think. I think it makes the players seem, further away from the fans and almost ungrateful for the fact that people pay to watch them play. And I don't know what you do if you're David Silver in this situation, how you
So while we're on the NBA, I need to talk about an experience I had last Wednesday. So I was in Miami with one of my clients, Miami Heat. And they were having an all-staff meeting. And it starts off that the president, Eric Woolworth, says to all the staff are sitting it's in the bowl, so all the staff are sitting in the stands. And he goes, listen, I know a lot of you were all working last week for Dwayne Wade's last game, so we wanted to show you the highlight film that we had made on Dwayne's last night so you could all share it. So he showed this amazing film, right? Really good film. And then he goes, and by the way, Dwayne is here and he wants to talk to you all. So then Dwayne Wade comes out and he thanks all the Heat employees and all the staff for their support of his career over the past 16 years and how much they meant to him and the whole 9 yards, right? And then instead of stopping there, he says, and because of that, I want to take a photo with each and every person that wants to have their photo taken with me. And he spent the next 3.5 hours taking photos with Heat staff members. It was absolutely incredible. And he had a smile on his face the whole time, and he wasn't getting a check. And it was his idea. I mean, he didn't even ask to come. He asked to come and address the fans, and then he asked if he could do the pictures. I mean, absolutely incredible.
That's incredible. And I think it's a bummer. I mean, it's awesome that you were there and got to experience, but it's a bummer that I'm only hearing about it from you.
Yeah, I put it on social media, and I got a lot.
That should be a much bigger story, I think,
because it's just not done. So it's interesting that I was reflecting upon, my NBA career, and so the three best players I've ever had the pleasure to interact with is not just basketball players, and here they are: Dwayne Wade, Shaq, and Ray Allen. And interestingly enough, they all played for the Heat at one time or another.
All Heat,
but they were all class acts, and so everybody was sharing their favorite Dwayne Wade story with them. And I said, Dwayne, I have my favorite Dwayne Wade story back from 2003. He goes, wow, that's a long time ago. What was it? And I said, on Heat Family Day, you were in a dunk tank, and your kids were running the dunk tank. And so the fans could come up and throw baseballs to try and knock you in the dunk tank. And I said, that was incredible. And I said, it's a memory that I'll always have because star athletes just don't do that. And he just smiled and just, we took my picture and that was it. But it's nice when there's a good story. And there's not as many good stories as there could be. But a lot of times, maybe you're right, that the stories just don't get told.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's the psychologist that says that people like to hear negative stories because it makes them feel better about their lives, and
Yeah.
positive stories make them feel like they need to be doing better, and like it makes them depressed. Which
And
really,
bad
if that's
stories
true, if that's how
probably
people
drive
actually work
higher television
psychologically
ratings
speaking.
and higher interest levels.
Yeah. But I mean, that's when you talk about when I just went on this whole rant before about players seeming ungrateful. That's a guy that clearly was not ungrateful, and that's the kind of story you want. The NBA want to
And the
like be
funny thing
like,
is, Jason, when
hey,
people went through the
check out
line,
what Dwayne Wade does. Look
like
how
somebody
awesome he
got
is,
something signed, and then people saw that something got signed, so they went through, got their picture taken, ran to the Heat store, bought something, got back in line, and got it signed again. And he didn't care. I mean, he was just fine with it. I've never seen he smiled the entire time. Never did it seem like he was being taken advantage of, he was being taken advantage of, but he didn't seem to feel he was taking advantage of. But it was just a real pleasure to watch. So we did have a question that came to me through Twitter.
That's fantastic.
What do we think is going to be the future of the XFL?
Ooh. I can't imagine it going on for more than one season. I just can't. When I watched the AAF, was it AAF?
Yeah.
All American Football? I don't know exactly all the details that happened to its demise, but it seemed like, as we talked about, like you have to have quarterbacks to make football work. And I don't know how you get quarterbacks in the XFL.
No.
I just don't. And again, I mean, AAF, you had a great opening weekend, and and you're watching guys that couldn't play in the NFL, like Trent Richardson, dominate that league, and bad quarterback play. And I don't think the things that they said would make the XFL great when they first came out, like what was a decade ago.
No, you can't.
Extra hard hits and all that. You can't do that nowadays because I want to see it. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you make it work. I just don't think it works.
Yeah, I mean, there could be some interesting
rule changes, more than a year?
But I just don't think you've got to have some substance. There has to be some quarterback play, and the only way you get quarterback play is a cooperative agreement with the NFL to get a second or third string quarterback to play on loan. That's not going to happen. Two, that players, you're going to draft quarterbacks that elect to sign with you rather than the NFL, which is not going to happen. Or you're going to offer some really, really high salaries to NFL backups or, Ryan Fitzpatrick or whoever, and get them to sign a guaranteed 2 or 3 year contract to go play. And that could happen.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to. I mean, they're going to have to knock out huge contracts because you figure this is a league that already failed once. We just watched the AAF fail, and if I'm going to leave the NFL, and again, we know how NFL owners are. We've seen Colin Kaepernick. If you leave for the XFL, I'm not saying there would be collusion, but I think it would be a hard fight to get back in the NFL unless you're an incredibly talented player. If you're the backup for an NFL team and you walk away to go play for the XFL, I don't know if you'd be welcomed back with open arms.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean,
I think you got some very angry, bitter owners.
The World Football League and some of these other leagues actually were trying to raid the NFL, and they were signing quarterbacks to future contracts. So when their contract expired, then they were going to get another contract to go to the World Football League. So we'll see. I mean, it's really the only way. If you don't have the quarterbacks, people aren't going to watch. You know what I mean? And they're in some real NFL markets now, too. So the competition is going to be a lot tougher than it was for the AAF in the markets that they're in. So that's going to be interesting to see.
And again, I love watching football, but after the first week of AAF, I didn't watch, but I've watched videos on NFL Network of 15 different
Yep.
people doing NFL draft, mock drafts.
No,
Like
I mean,
it's going to take a lot to pull me away
know
from
what
the
you're
NFL.
going to get. You know who's playing,
and
you have confidence in it. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see. I don't know either. I would not expect it to last longer than a season either. Would you? Let's go further. Do we think it'll make it through a season? And my answer to that is, I'm going to answer my own question. I'm going to say yes, only because McMahon will make sure that it does.
I was about to say, you've got some really stubborn people in Vince McMahon and some of the people behind this league, so with very deep pockets. And I think that they'll push for a full season, if not more. But I think the AAF proved, that seemed to be a league that thought itself out, thought about some interesting markets to go into, some non-NFL markets, but still good football cities. And I thought it seemed like they did about everything you could to make an upstart, in the off season, trying to partner with the NFL. I mean, I know the funding fell through and maybe that guy was only after an app and all that other crap, but it seemed like they did about everything you could
possibly do. The pockets weren't deep enough and they didn't have the talent. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So let's end the show with one question. You get to answer it. Is Kyler Murray still the number one pick in the NFL draft?
Okay.
Okay. Part two of that question. Is he the number one pick of the Arizona Cardinals? Okay. All right.
I believe yes, he is.
That's our prediction. So
yeah. And I assume you had no moments or anything exciting?
Unfortunately. I will have one this week, but I did not have one last week. I was on Miami for a short time, and I didn't have a good food moment.
Whoa. I had maybe the best chocolate chip we've ever had in my life, which is saying a lot. But I don't remember where my friend got it for me from, so I have to ask her, and then I'll be able to tell you where it was next week.
That's a statement. You like your chocolate chip cookies, so that's a statement.
Yeah. An incredible chocolate cookie. There is, yeah. I mean, I've had some amazing ones in Pittsburgh, San Francisco, everywhere, New York.
But my favorite chocolate chip cookie was Ghirardelli's until they changed the recipe. And I don't like it at all anymore. But that was by far and away my number one. It was like a half-pound cookie, too. I love that.
Yeah, this is a big thick. It's got it's almost like crispy rim, gooey middle, but it goes really high. It's almost like an inch high in the middle. Tons of chocolate chips, just outstanding cookie.
Okay.
But again, I don't remember the name of the place you got it from. But I'm going to find out, and then I'll be able to bring it back next week. But it does make sense. I'm in New Orleans where they use a lot of butter and sugar.
It's important. You got to have a lot of butter in a good chocolate chip cookie. We don't want a healthy cookie. Healthy cookie.
Yes, and you're not making.
I have no interest in eating a healthy cookie.
No, nobody does. But I guess that wraps us up for this week.
Yeah, we'll be back Sunday or Monday night.
We'll be back after the draft, right?
We'll figure it out this week. But we will be dissecting the draft. And more Jason than me because he'll be more attuned to it than I will. Yeah.
Yes, I wish I wasn't as into it as I am.
Hopefully you're happy next Sunday night.
I think I can always talk myself into being happy for the Steelers until we actually see them on the field. I was happy about Artie Burns, so, It's easy to be happy on the outside when you're like, oh, yeah, it's going to be great. They're coming together, but we'll see. All right, so until next week, we are out.